Before Lionel Messi scored a single goal tonight, he was already crying. In the opening minutes of Argentina's World Cup opener against Algeria, the cameras caught something nobody expected from the most composed footballer of his generation. Messi used the front of his blue and white jersey, soaked in sweat, to wipe tears from his eyes. His usually calm, confident expression had cracked completely, and then he scored. And scored again, and scored a third time. By the end of the night, Argentina had beaten Algeria 3-0 in Kansas City. Lionel Messi had recorded his first ever World Cup hat trick. He had tied the all-time World Cup scoring record, and he had become the only player in the history of football to play in 6 different World Cup tournaments. This is the story of one of the most remarkable nights in World Cup history. Let us start with the emotion, and because that is where this story truly begins. Messi arrived at this tournament carrying real doubt. He had been dealing with a minor hamstring injury at Inter Miami in the weeks leading up to the World Cup. At 38 years old, with his 39th birthday just around the corner, questions were swirling. Would his body hold up? Could he still be the player who carried Argentina to glory in Qatar? Was this finally the tournament where age would catch up with him? Those questions got answered within the first 17 minutes. Messi opened the scoring with what observers are calling a long-range screamer, a shot from outside the box that gave Algeria's goalkeeper no chance whatsoever. The stadium, packed with a heavily pro-Argentina crowd, erupted. And Messi, usually so contained in his celebrations, let his emotions completely take over. The tears were not just about one goal. They were about everything this moment represented. 6 World Cups, 200 appearances for his country, a career that began as a teenager and is now entering its final chapters on the biggest stage football has to offer. Algeria, to their credit, did not collapse after going behind. They actually won the possession battle in this match. They created moments of their own, at one point thinking they had equalized, only for the goal to be ruled out for offside in a sequence that mirrored an earlier disallowed Messi goal. The Algerian side, known as the Fennec Foxes, pushed and probed and refused to be embarrassed on the world's biggest stage. But Messi was not finished. In the 60th minute, his second goal arrived through pure predatory instinct. Algeria's goalkeeper produced a poor clearance, and Messi pounced on the loose ball, finishing calmly to double Argentina's lead. It was the kind of goal that looks simple on a highlight reel, but requires a lifetime of positioning intelligence to actually execute at the right moment. Then came the goal that sealed not just the match, but the history books. In the 76th minute, Messi curled a precise effort into the bottom corner, his third goal of the night. His first career hat trick at a World Cup, despite having played in this tournament for nearly 2 decades. And with that goal, he equaled Miroslav Klose's all-time record of 16 World Cup goals, a record that had stood since the German striker set it back in 2014. Let us pause on that number for a moment. 16 goals, across 6 different World Cup tournaments, spanning from 2006 to tonight. No other active player is anywhere close to touching that number. And Messi did it while also climbing past football legend Pelé on another list, total World Cup goal contributions, which combines goals and assists. Messi now sits at 24 goal contributions across his career at this tournament. Surpassing Pelé's mark of 21, Argentina's head coach Lionel Scaloni was visibly emotional when asked to describe what he had just witnessed. He told reporters he was at a loss for words about Leo, simply repeating that the man is incredible. For a coach who has worked alongside Messi for years, who has seen his brilliance up close more than almost anyone else in football, to still be rendered speechless tells you everything about the magnitude of tonight's performance. The reaction from the football world was instant and overwhelming. Former England captain Rio Ferdinand posted that this was Messi's first ever hat trick at a World Cup, officially tying him for the most goals in tournament history. Former Newcastle striker Alan Shearer simply posted a string of clapping emojis, overwhelmed by witnessing Messi's 16th World Cup goal in real time. NFL star Chad Johnson, known as Ocho Cinco, called Messi a gift from God to the beautiful game. And in the stands that night, watching in person, were Kansas City Chiefs superstar Patrick Mahomes and his wife Brittany. 2 of America's biggest sports icons sitting in the crowd, witnessing history made by a 38-year-old Argentine who has now conquered virtually every corner of the sport he plays. There is something else worth understanding about tonight's performance. Beyond the records and the statistics, several analysts have pointed out that Messi is playing right now with a kind of freedom he has never had before. Having already won the one trophy that eluded him for most of his career back in Qatar in 2022, there is no longer the same crushing weight of expectation. He has nothing left to prove to anyone. He is simply playing football at the highest level imaginable, purely because he loves the game. That freedom showed in every touch tonight. The long-range strike that opened the scoring, the poacher's instinct for the second, the composed finish for the third. This was not a man desperately chasing validation. This was a man enjoying, perhaps for one of the last times on this stage, everything that makes him the player he is. Now let us talk about what comes next for Argentina, because this World Cup defense has only just begun. The defending champions move on to face Austria in Dallas, with that match scheduled for Monday. Group J also includes Jordan, rounding out a group that Argentina will be heavily expected to top after tonight's dominant display. The broader context matters here too. Argentina is attempting something that only two nations in the history of the World Cup have ever achieved, winning the tournament in back-to-back editions. Italy managed it in 1934 and 1938. Brazil managed it in 1958 and 1962. No team has done it in the 62 years since. If Argentina, with Messi leading the charge, can complete this campaign successfully, it would cement this Argentine generation alongside the greatest international football has ever produced. There's also a deeply personal subplot running through all of this. Nobody knows for certain whether this is truly Messi's final World Cup. He has not made any retirement announcement, but at 38 years old, with the next World Cup 4 years away in 2030, the mathematics of professional football suggest this is very likely his last dance on this particular stage. Every match he plays from here forward in this tournament carries the weight of potentially being among his last World Cup appearances ever. That is part of why tonight felt different. Why the tears at the start of the match carried so much meaning. Why the entire football world, regardless of nationality or allegiance, paused to appreciate what they were witnessing. This is not just another talented player having a good night. This is arguably the greatest footballer to ever play the sport, writing one of the final chapters of an already legendary career, in real time, in front of a global audience. For Algeria, despite the heavy defeat, there were positives to take. They matched Argentina in possession and created genuine moments of danger. Their disallowed goals showed they were not simply rolling over against the defending champions. The Fennec Foxes will look to regroup and find points elsewhere in Group J, knowing that a result of this magnitude against Messi's Argentina was always going to be one of the toughest tests in their group. But tonight in Kansas City belonged entirely to one man. A man who arrived with tears in his eyes, doubts about his body, and questions about whether his legendary powers had finally begun to fade. He answered every single one of those doubts with 3 goals, a tied all-time scoring record, and a performance that reminded the entire world exactly why Lionel Messi remains, even now in the twilight of his career, the most extraordinary footballer of his generation. The story of Argentina's 2026 World Cup defense has begun in the most spectacular way possible. Whether they can complete the historic back-to-back title remains to be seen in the weeks ahead. But on this night, in Kansas City, Missouri, Lionel Messi reminded the world that some legends do not fade quietly. They go out, if they go out at all, in a blaze of 3 goals and a standing ovation from a stadium that will remember this night forever. Subscribe right now. I will be covering every step of Argentina's World Cup campaign, every Messi performance, and every twist in this tournament as it happens. Comment below. Do you think Messi can lead Argentina to back-to-back World Cup titles? Drop your prediction below. See you in the next one.